The center of, as always, the straw that stirs the drink. Good luck watching that show the rest of the way. I'll say that. Eliminated last night. Lots of thoughts. Obviously, enemies have emerged. Frustrating, very, very frustrating, very frustrated. In some ways myself, in some ways it's just the game, the way that it was set up. I'm not saying it was rigged. It is rigged that Dave owns a company, but I'm saying I don't think Rob, the producer, and Jeff and these guys rigged the game to go a certain way. But definitely frustrating. I played really hard. I thought I played a good game. Sometimes it just goes, it's 24 people, one wins. But boy, some people piss me off and will continue to piss me off. And I hate them and I will always hate them. So that's, you play a game with me like that and, going in what the ramifications are. Don't reach out to me again. Don't ask me for advice. Don't ask me to reach out to just leave me alone. I hate you. I hate your fucking guts. You're a phony. We'll get more into it, but yeah, I know you're very into it, Cinema. Steve, did you watch it?
I did, yeah.
Justin?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Any thoughts from you?
I knew it was coming.
I guess that text makes more sense when I sent you from Chicago after that.
I kind of put two and two together at that point, but it still hurts to see it happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. It's a tough game. It's a very, very, very tough game. So, go ahead.
I was going to say, watching it, I don't think there's something you did that I was like, Kirk fucked up in that moment.
Well, I think it's tough. I mean,
obviously,
there's edits. I mean, I could have, in that last vote, I could have taken a shot and tried to get, but
that was one of my big questions.
I was dead. I was dead anyway. I would have just been, they were gunning for me. Yeah. The number, I would have bought myself, it would have been a Band-Aid on a gun wound. And I thought, if I did it and lost my vote, I was definitely 100% out, which would have been right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But I think Will's was probably more egregious. He was really dead, but same thing. You're just
buying time.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But you could definitely argue that was a mistake. I think it was a 50-50 call. I don't have a problem with that. What makes it so hard is by the time Pink Wedding started, people are like, oh, why didn't you the numbers? Why don't you meet? And you just didn't have time. And at the last part, you had no time because you stayed at the table the whole time.
Right.
And then everybody, my group, my mistake ultimately was going in with Kelly, Megan, and Rico and getting sort of hyper-focused on Taylor. That was a mistake.
Yep.
Total mistake. That if you want to go back, and I think Taylor would say, and I think I'm going on Bussin' next week when I'm in Chicago to talk about surviving after everything. I think Taylor would agree his mistake was not capitulating when Will and I both wanted Kelly out. Because the three of us were in that bathroom. I don't know if you remember that episode or not. And two of us, Will and I, said we want Kelly out. Now, Kelly turned out to be pretty loyal, till the end. And he said he wanted Megan out. And he probably wasn't wrong, but it was 2 against 1, and Taylor was like, no, I'm not doing it. And at that point in my mind, I was like, well, if he's not going to play ball with us, I just can't trust him.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I became focused on that. I was never into this, vote athletes out. Watching the way this game's been so far, challenges,
no.
I've been as effective as Taylor Lewan in the games.
If not more so.
I think that's been a minimal, so I think people get
throwing dice in a ring.
Yeah, people get very, and I'm not saying that the rest of the challenges may be super physical, but I was never worried about that. So that was probably a mistake. But I thought we had numbers. I thought we had 4 against 3. And as it turns out, Rico was obviously doing what he was doing. Kelly, I think, was pretty loyal, but she was always going to go with Rhea. But I didn't really care because I thought that was going to be
so far down the road. And who am I forgetting? Megan, I thought I could control. And I think I still, she's just fucking, you can't, as Peter Manman would say, you can't cure stupid.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, too, is that they're alive.
That's my fault. But I got into, it was somebody who I have to think her mother drank heavily while she was probably literally pushing her out.
Right. But don't you realize you were playing with dummies? Because
but
she's a dummy.
Yep.
Biz, which was on an island of his own.
Biz voted for me, which I didn't even know.
I don't understand that vote.
I don't think that was a calculated. I think he was just lost in the chaos. I don't think that was I really don't. I don't think that was a fuck you move. I could be wrong.
He turned around and took out Will, though, right? The next move. That was the first time I feel like he showed any sort of sense of strategic move.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting watching him going forward because now he is kind of
everyone wants
on his own.
Yeah.
All the comments are the only person I want to win this now
Right.
is Biz.
Now, I vote for people who play the game.
Right.
He doesn't play the game. That, in my opinion. So, but maybe he will. Maybe
Now.
he's been hiding the whole time. Keep an eye on it. I don't know. There's still, tonight's episode is a whopper. I will say that. Okay. But yeah, frustrated. We'll get to the grievances personally I have, but frustrated that, went as far as I get. Frustrated also that it didn't cost me the game, but I didn't like, I saw people tweeting last night that the voting went the same order twice in a row last night.
Yeah.
They gave Dave plenty of time to play his game two times in a row. But I don't think, I actually ultimately don't think that would have mattered.
If there wasn't so much like bantering ongoing while the votes was happening, I don't think it wouldn't have mattered at all. The fact that you guys were
That's why.
talking
It was,
so
it was
much.
essentially the time in between the votes normally. Was then.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So Dave talking to Dan and saying, Kirk and Will made a pact. Like, I was out of the room during that. That didn't, first I went to vote. And I was like, that didn't happen. But like, because Dan's, a child can be very easy manipulated. I mean, I don't know if that's I don't know many people from Newton, but I don't know if it's a regional thing or not. So I don't know that. This will stay other than when Mike asked Dan if he was from Newton on the show 4 years ago. And then Dan called Steve and said, can you take it out because I'm worried about my family, their security.
Oh, did that really happen?
Yeah. You can ask Steve that. Yeah. That's not going to be like this, right? Is he going to do that again?
I
Okay.
can't promise.
Because I know there are no Katzes in Newton. So, I mean, I'm sure it'll be very specifically targeted. I don't mean to mention that. I just thought of it. Okay. So, I'm
He's been
going to
unbearable to watch.
I'm going to be. You have no idea the level of asshole I'm going to be in Chicago next week. You'll have never seen anything like this. And I know that asshole behind you, who I want gone, seems like I'm not tough anymore. I don't know, anybody you watch the last 24 hours and think I'm an asshole. I don't know what to say. I know Fax is one of the gang from what he's tweeting yesterday, but he'll be gone soon, right, Justin? This doesn't feel like it's a long one, though.
Probably. It's just
Not working, right? Yeah. Do you agree or no?
I think it can work, but there's been some troubling just starts to it.
Like that yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, no one's asking you. Don't.
He's like, I'm the sixth guy. The sixth guy.
what was that
The sixth
about?
guy of what? Like of what?
On the show.
Yeah,
Which
you're not
is-
on the show. Like, I don't want you here as an intern. Like, Dave hired you. You could leave, pack up your shit and go home. What do I care? What are you going to do? There's clips of all the words in capital letters. My life will go on without those, I'm playing golf either way, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. Like, my life's not going to be how many YouTube views we get. I don't give two fucks about that.
So how many people are going to show up today? Because I saw you put your address out.
You're always welcome.
If you-
372 Main Street, Watertown.
If you were soft, then you wouldn't put the address out.
I
Right?
mean, 26 and 0. Like I have no, no problem at all. I mean, they're riders. Their leader who's weeping, calling me a week ago, crying. So I mean, he's your leader. And they cut stuff out. I was like, you guys the editors are real pussies. So because I was like saying Rico was like, oh, my kid's sick. I don't know why my kid's got a cold. Shut the fuck up. I don't give two fucks about your kids. Throw them in a river.
It's like he kept swearing on their lives too,
yeah.
left and right. And one of the times he was blatantly lying. So it's like these promises on your kids don't mean very much, Rico. You don't give a fuck about
These kids have no chance in life. The state should take them away.
But you were right, though. He punches down. That's him.
Of course he does,
He said nothing to you.
Nothing.
Like,
He said he does this. Same thing as Dan. They put on that weepy face, that feel bad for me face.
yeah.
Dan is Pat Minahan 2.0. Trying to please everybody, pleases nobody, and that gets you pancreatic cancer, which I hope he gets. I fucking hope he gets.
Oh, jeez.
I hope he gets it.
Would you have any respect, though, if they would have fought back at you?
Of course,
If
that's the game.
Rico
I
would've
wouldn't.
said,
Right.
If Rico
fuck
would have
you.
said, fuck you,
Yeah.
Kirk, this is what I'm doing,
Yes.
or Dan said it to you,
I'd be pissed, but I'd be like, all right,
you
well,
feel better about it a little bit.
I would feel better about it a lot. I'd feel
lot,
better.
yeah.
And Dan, as I said, is the kind of guy who stabs you in the back. And I've seen some people, what's the idiot's name who does the fireside chats? He's just a
Freddie
stoolie.
Lynn?
He's a stoolie. He's a shitbag. He's a shitbag. I'll dox him before 11 o'clock today. Cops will be in front of his house. That kitty porn he has. He's a stool. He's like, I don't even know what Dan did on this dumb shit. You're a fucking idiot retard.
He would have voted for you.
Who?
Yeah. Well, he lost his vote.
He did. He essentially did. That's what
Yeah.
Megan voted for me. Like, this is what people don't understand. People are like, oh, she voted. That's a vote for me.
That's a vote for you.
I'm dead. I'm dead.
Yeah.
Voting for Rico is a
complete waste of a vote.
Hey, at least she comes back and she tells you the truth, unless you got like fucking Big Cat who's like, oh my God, you blew the whole plan. What the fuck?
Yeah,
man?
but
And
Megan-
meanwhile, he lost his fucking
No, you're
vote.
right.
Megan would lick Big Cat's asshole if he told because and she told me during the game at one point, she's like, I don't think I ever voted against Dan because he's the reason I'm in Chicago. I have this job.
Yeah.
So like for all I know, Dan said to her at some point, like, put a vote over there for Rico. So it makes it. I have no idea. I don't trust any of them.
No.
So,
And then there's that bullshit thing.
but you're
like,
right. At least it's different than Dan.
He
but yeah.
wanted to walk in the room with you. Okay, he walks in the room with you. He's still going to do what he's going to do
Sure.
anyway.
Yeah, but I had no problem with. I don't even know why that's why is that a rule? Well, I care. Yeah. No, it seemed like an on the moment, but I mean,
It's their game.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
their game, and you're just a part of it. But it's always going to be about Dan and Dave.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much Kirk. If they're playing in the game, it's not fair.
No, but
It's rigged.
but you know it going in. I have no problem
Yeah.
with that. That you have to have Dave Portnoy and Dan Katz
For the
playing
ratings,
Survivor.
for sure.
Like, I have zero problem with that.
And also, like, everyone knows each other. It's not like
Of
real
course.
Survivor where someone
Yeah, like
from
I
California.
don't know like Wallow, and I don't know like Caleb really. Like there are.
But for the most part, people, it's like Megan said, like they're coworkers with each other. They see each
Yeah,
other.
you know going in. Yeah. But there are but there with Dave and I was on the big text thread with Dave and Whitney last night, and Dave is still pretending like the game's not rigged for him to some extent. Well, it is once he gets to a certain point, but he's played the game very well. He played.
Yes. No, he has.
You know, I'm not gonna give him that much credit. I mean, he played well in the Pink Wedding, but like he's controlling like Rico and Dan. These are children.
But isn't there a fear factor,
And
though?
moves.
And moves,
Yeah,
right.
moves has been electric.
But isn't there a fear factor? Because let's say that you did one here. Justin and Dave are going to be petrified to vote for you.
Sure.
And that's how I feel it is with them. Like, oh, we can't vote Dave out because he's ultimately the boss. It's ultimately his 250.
Right.
So
well, I
it
think
has
it's
to
more
play
like
something
Rico.
into that.
Rico wants Dave to like him because Dave is Dave. Like that's the part of it that Dave doesn't really understand. That's inherent to the whole thing, which again is on me. That's not Dave's fault. He's playing the game. That's my fault. I should have recognized it.
Yeah. I mean, Big Cat 2 was also the first one voted out last season, so it's not like he's an untouchable in these kinds of
Dave was
games.
whacked early too because
the-
Jerry was on the team.
problem.
And it's not like people like Francis and Roan, they tried to
Too late though. The
put
numbers
together-
weren't there.
Right.
What killed this game so far to this point. Look, somebody may make a big move among the remaining people, but
Somebody has to.
somebody has to.
Somebody
have
has
to.
to.
But the Clemmers, the Francises, the Arian Foster, episode 2 said get rid of Dave Portnoy. Didn't want to do it because he didn't want to lie to anybody in playing Surviving. But Arian, the problem is you're talking Arian, Mincy, White Sox, Dave, Clemmer. Is Mincy going to vote against Dave?
No.
He said he won't.
That's what I mean. So like what? How do you do that? Francis is worried about his contract.
Right.
So I mean it's the game is rigged, which is fine, but like you have to kill them early. They didn't have a guy like me or a guy like Jerry on that team early. They paired Dave up with Rico, which I will say, as Harry would say, is sus as a bus. I will say that. Like of all, because they put the 6 of us back together. The 6 guys who came back.
Yes.
Teams of 2.
Yep.
So me and Jerry, fine, great. Will and Dan, okay. And they put Dave with all people, Rico. They didn't put Dave with me or Jerry because I think probably in the back of their minds they might have thought, well, one of those guys might get Dave out. Because the
Maybe
first thing
Will,
out,
too.
yeah, oh for sure, Will. The first thing I would have said was, we're getting Dave out of here. Like I'm going because you can't. There are too many factors like that. And I don't think they thought that. I think they were trying to put the right combination of 6 people together. But it's frustrating. So I stayed in a separate room during the Surviving. I fucking destroyed that room when I got eliminated. I went fucking nuts. I was like, I'm not talking. And I finally sat down and talked, but I was so mad, way angrier than Che, because I don't know Che. So I was just angry, and you're angry at yourself ultimately. But hey, that's the game. It's great. I mean, I texted Dave last night, I'm doing it again next year. So
Yeah.
I
thought you were going to do something with the torch. Like, I was like, oh, you're going to go full, like...
What, hit him with it or something?
No, like, throw it against the wall.
No, Jerry did that. No, it's not. I mean,
Yeah.
it's you get eliminated. The votes are the votes. You get mad. I think my comment walking away will have plenty of ramifications. I'm not worried about that.
So what's Rico?
To Dan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, Dan Rico's just he's a loser. I mean, he's just a loser.
Who do you think makes the move, though? Of who's left?
Well, I can't really.
Oh, you
Steve,
can't.
Steve, I
Said,
know
but
what
who do you
happened,
think?
so I can't
know.
really.
Dave,
Said, who do you think?
Dave and Rhea, like somebody has to turn on the other one because when those are the 2 people right now that are in line, in my opinion, to get the most votes if you go to the final. So I don't think how either of them can go with the other person. I think at some point somebody has to try and put together some kind of a vote to get the other out. And I think that's why Biz is actually going to be so valuable in these last couple of episodes, because he is completely on his own and he's somebody that you can grab to make a big move like that.
Yeah.
Whether it is Dave or if it's Rhea. If Dave and Big Cat are like, hey, we need to get Rhea out, let's go get Biz, and you have Rico, it's like, it's that easy. Now it's, I mean, it's guys versus girls,
Yeah.
but
Why are you wearing pants?
finally on the 30. Once it goes on
Yeah,
the
I-
30,
that's a
it's-
rule?
Yeah. Once you hit the 20s. When I left the house this morning, I was like 16.
It was cold run this morning, that's for sure.
You know who I think's going to win it all?
Who's that?
As much as people want to doubt the woman of the Barstool world, guess who's still here? All right, NFL McGee over here didn't quite make the
Okay, I
main cut.
can't. I mean,
Oh my God.
I like the people who aren't aware. They think they don't realize they're being carried. Like they're moving on because they're stupid, because they're bad, and they're like proud about it. It's so stupid. It's like Twat making Megan making money. It's like the same thing. I don't. These people are like, I'm gonna come beat you up. She's the one who's always like, I'm a guy. Treat me like a guy. Well, okay, you're an asshole. You're a cunt. You're a twat. You're a shithead. You're what word would you like me to use? I don't know. But yeah,
If she voted for Keegs,
if she voted for Keegs.
because
What happened? I'll tell you. Of course, same thing. Because it was so chaotic, there was a miscommunication between me and Will as well.
Right.
If Will had voted for Kelly, because we weren't going to get the Dan numbers at that point, I would have been fine doing that. But it would have been me, Will, maybe Biz, but maybe not. No one else is voting for him.
Right.
So I was like, that's not going to work. The minute I heard Keeg say, "Oh, if you want me to vote Kirk out, I'll vote Kirk out," to Dave, I was like, well, all right, got to go after her. And I thought I had numbers. So if Will had done that, and Megan had done that, and Dan had told the truth,
Went out.
would have been out.
Yeah. Even if it goes to a
would've been
revote.
tied.
No, that's 3.
because you got 4 votes.
Right. How many did she have? I thought she had 2.
She had 2 votes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So if you had
Megan,
Dan,
Cass,
Megan, and Will, that's 5 for
Well-
Kelly.
Well, Dan lost his vote.
No, but that's what I'm saying. If he had done what he said he was going to do, he
Right.
told me he was going to
yes,
vote for
yes,
Keegs.
yes.
That's then 5. I move on. Kelly's out, and then I go right over to Will and Biz, and I'm like, all right, like we have 3. We have to find somebody. And I think that would have been very
Because
difficult.
she also lost her vote in that same round, right?
Who did?
Keegs.
Keegs did. Yeah, she would have been out. Yeah,
She
we would
would've
have
been out,
got
right.
her. So I would have said to Will and Biz, like, obviously they're out to get us. They're out to get, like, Dave walked up to me at the beginning, was like, I'm getting you. Or you're getting me out of this game, one way or the other. I said, okay, I can't focus on that right now. So I would have said to those 3, all right, now we get, how many people would have been left at that point? 8?
9.
I'm
No,
sorry,
after
after 9.
Nine,
you were the
and then-
10th person out.
So that's 3 against 6, probably.
Yep.
Like, who are you going to sway? Megan? No. Rhea and Dave? No. Dan, maybe you can guilt Dan, maybe. Rico? No.
Not getting moved.
Definitely not.
Not getting moves. You can't even talk to moves. So dumb. So it's like, there's no.
Yeah.
So
What
we
if
were-
you?
I was fucked.
So if you go a step back, if you go to Monday's episode,
Yeah,
after
what
the
was that?
first challenge, it's the first day of the pink wedding.
The key.
Oh, and I used
You
the.
showed him the idol.
yeah.
So after the first challenge happens,
Yeah.
you're talking to everybody, and at one point you say to Kelly, you're like, they can't trust us. I think you said like Plan B, like this
Who's
isn't
they?
gonna work. Say Dan, Rhea.
Oh,
and
that
Dave.
crew. Yeah.
You're like, these people aren't going to trust us. Like, it's not going to work out.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, in that moment, did you have any thought of going to the 3 athletes before Taylor gets voted out and say, like, hey, we might have lost Rico. He's being a little bit weird. What if we had the 3 of us, the 3 of you guys, we have me,
Right.
and we can still talk to Kelly? And my thought process.
Kelly was gone at that point, though. Like, it was
Yeah.
hard to talk to her. Like, she was, I don't know if you
So
remember,
annoying.
she
What a
was
wreck.
so hyper. And
yeah.
I was like, I don't know what to do here. Because she was also, this is a big part of it, too. She's sitting next to Rhea. Like, that was a big part of how, and I was sitting next to Dan. That was like a big part of how it went. So I just didn't trust that she was going to, and she hung in about as long as she could. But yeah, I mean, I guess that could have been a way. But like Taylor, there was already, Taylor, I think, already knew that was in the air. There was just like stuff.
My thought was that you obviously had a sense, because you played your idol, you had a sense that they were going to be coming for you. So I was thinking, if you even you guys were planning on doing a 2-2 split originally. I think
Right,
it was.
right.
If you go, hey guys, like things are shifting a little bit. If we just put 4 votes on moves,
Yeah.
Either-
we could have done that. Yeah.
either she's going to play her key and she's going to get the little pink Whitney thing.
Right.
She's safe, but you're still safe too, because you're going to play your idol, and it's just a
Right.
it's just a wash on that.
Yeah, could've-
But
yeah.
if you take her out, then you're taking out one of Dave's legs.
One of his
Yeah.
people, one of his votes.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely could have done that. But again, like I think in a normal, like we lose a challenge and we have an hour and a half to figure it out. great.
How much time roughly?
10, 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. that
And
was
everyone's in
awesome.
front of everybody. And
Yeah.
like Kelly is like, she's like, Enrico's doing his, and I'm like, this is fucking. And Taylor's paranoid because he thinks he's out. And ultimately, my biggest mistake was being hyper focused on that. Ultimately, it was meaningless. But we were all caught up. That was stupid, dumb. We should have focused on. But we didn't know, and we also kept winning the fucking challenges.
Yeah.
Which ultimately, oddly hurt us.
Yeah.
Because Rico was doing his thing, Megan's on her island, and Kelly was with Rhea. So it's like it was just weird.
Probably helped solidify the other four
Definitely,
too, a little bit.
definitely
like,
did.
really.
It definitely did. And I like Dave had Rhea, Moobs was locked in with Dave. I thought Will and Taylor. I was never quite sure. Biz was with them. And I kept losing people. Clemmer on the other side was going. Clemmer, Whitney, Roan killed me.
Yeah.
Those three go, and they played it right. I mean, those three are in. What was that?
What?
Who's that?
Clemmer?
Clemmer. Oh,
Yeah.
if those three are in, obviously another three, then it changes. But that's also why they got rid of something, because they knew they had allegiances on the other team. Played very well. So very frustrating. Yeah. And I mean, look, my issue with Dan is, first of all, like I said, yes, he came up to me. He's like, I thought we were like brothers. He did that whole thing. And then just fucking lied to me last night. I knew he did. He's like, yeah, I voted for Keegs. He didn't. He took his, he just fucking stabbed me right in the back. And there are ways to do it. You can put your name down, but there are other ways to do it. And he stabbed me right in the fucking back. So
That's what he's done to everyone.
yeah. And he's playing the game, and then he does it. He makes these big moves, and he walks around like, I have a stomach. I wish they voted
wanna
me out of the
leave. I wanna
game. You're a
leave.
fucking bitch. You're a fucking bitch. You've always been a bitch. You're probably a bitch in Newton High, and you're a fucking bitch now. You're afraid to say where you went to high school? Fucking cares? What does it matter? You built your little Willy Wonkaville, and you get your slaves there running around. Go do your coffee thing and do the yak challenge. Fucking leave me alone. You're bullshit.
I just don't get the point of lying to you after Megan Making Money says that she voted for Rico, and
Because he wants everyone. Because
it's
he's
crazy.
Because he wants it. Because he doesn't think he's gonna get caught. It's a weird. It's like hiding your report card when you're a little kid. You're gonna get
in
it's gonna
5
happen.
minutes. Like
Yeah,
it's,
Yeah.
there's
I
no
knew it
time.
right away. The other thing was weird because I knew. Because if you're watching it, you're thinking, well, Dan told me he voted for Kelly. Why wouldn't I? Because I walked away, but I had heard that he had taken his chance. And I said to him, I was like, well, that's essentially like voting for me. And he did what Megan did. What do you mean?
Right.
I'm like, you know exactly what I mean.
Absolutely.
He does the thing where he's like, oh, I don't want to be here. Vote me out. Vote me.
Yeah,
I don't
that
want.
was dumb.
Oh, this is affecting my friendships with people. Well, you
Yeah.
play the game like that. Like you can't have it both ways. Like I said, he's the kind of guy who votes you out and then he wants you to feel bad for him for doing it. Well, I
Right.
don't feel bad for you. I hate your fucking guts. Never reach out to me again. If you do, it'll be the biggest mistake of your fucking life.
I think
what I
he
would say.
typically comes off as a likable guy, but I think people that would even call
He's
themselves
a shitbag.
Big Cat fans. How do you like?
He's a sociopath.
Awful.
He's a
Yeah.
shitbag. And if you look at his social media, he posts things at certain times last night that you get sick. But he's a shitbag. He's an absolute sociopath shitbag. So I mean, whatever, And if I see him next week in Chicago, don't come up to me. Don't do the thing like you did with Biz in the bathroom. You're like, hey, punch me in the face if you want, or I don't want to do any of that. I just leave me alone. You're a child. Leave me alone.
This is always in the bathroom. That's one thing.
Yeah.
It was like every
that man's in the bathroom a lot.
Yeah,
every episode was like 2 or 3 times.
yeah. He's not.
He's a funny motherfucker, man.
A good guy. Good
that
guy.
face he made at Dave last night was fucking awesome.
Good guy. I will say though, he gets very into like, why is everyone playing? I'm like, well, we're playing. Like it's a game. Like we're playing. Guys get mad at each other. It's just that. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, just
Tonight-
like he keeps on saying, I want to be alone. I want to be alone.
Yeah,
Well,
it's like, you signed up for this.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got to play. I don't know. I'd rather go out the way I went out to get my head chopped off like a Clemmer, say. Like I did it my way and I was trying to win. I was not the third or fourth person in a thing.
yeah.
I don't think you ever win that way, in my opinion, the way this game goes. But I could be wrong.
No,
We'll
you
find out.
took your shot, and that
Yeah.
ultimately is what it was. And you got guys
Frustrating.
like Rico are just dead.
Yes.
They're dead in the water, and they're just even if they make to the finals,
Yeah.
who's going to vote for him? I mean, he's a dead man walking.
Well, I thought I had a chance because, as you guys know, my contract runs through 2027. So, the way they play the game, evidently, is if your contract's running out, they get rid of you. Why'd you invite them on the fucking game then? You knew their
Yeah.
contracts.
The deuces to us at the end of the year. So my hat goes off. Tip of the cap. Dave. Big Cat. Great game, boys.
Dave and I didn't want Taylor or Will to win $250,000 cash on Barstool's networks and then be like, oh, and by the way, we're leaving.
Well, why am I the game then, you
Why have
stupid cocksucker? Like, what's the point? Like, why? Why dangle that over?
dumb.
Why have them there?
You can't have it both ways. You can't get the bussin' with the boys fan base, but then be
Right.
like, well, we don't want them to win. It's either like have them or don't.
Right. I don't get like, and then earlier with moves, like, well, we're keeping moves in the game because we don't want to upset her feelings. What game is this? Like, I didn't hear Dave say that. I heard Dan say that. It's not Dan's money anyway. Like, I don't know what is that? What is it? This is we stuff. Like, we got together and said, then why ask them at all?
Yeah.
And
And they're not the only ones. You got Francis and you have Caleb. You got the Bussin' Boys.
Yeah, I mean, I think Caleb's situation was different, but I mean, but like, I don't.
But it goes back to the game being fixed. Okay, well, you can't have them both in, so why do you have them in?
Right. Also, the game's on right now. We're playing the game right now. Where the fuck Will and Taylor are going? Yeah. Take their money and get publicity from this to where? Where they don't. Nobody knows. I don't know where they're going. I mean, I do, but it's not been discussed. Like, I don't know what. Like, what is the point of that? That's bullshit. That's like absolute. I mean, that's just chicken shit. Like, you know, I hate crap like that. But knowing the gift, that's like what the game is. Like, then what's the fucking point? Congratulations, Dave. You can run around with a bunch of girls for the rest of the game. What's that?
And also, like, that's Dan from a business perspective, but he's
Right.
also going around saying, like, this is ruining my friendships.
Yeah.
So, like, where was that?
Yeah, you stabbed him in the back. Like, I don't.
Like, if you had your friend say, like, oh, I don't want to give you $250,000 because he's your boss or something like that, you're like, well, then fuck you.
And next week in Chicago, Dan will do. I know you're right. He'll do the whole thing, but that's not the real Dan. Just remember that when he does his pity party act next week, that's not the real Dan. That is not the real Dan. So I mean, so that's why I like respect Dave more. Like he'll say, "Fuck you, I'm voting you out," or "Hey, I'm doing this," or "Hey, have fun with it." Whereas Dan's acting like it's so. It's the way it is. Just the way it is. I don't know. We're Team Grace here when we're Team Zach Bryan, honestly. I've always thought he's a talented guy.
Yeah.
So, very talented guy. Super talented musician. So, any other thoughts from Surviving? I know you're into it, Cinema, or Justin or Steve?
I do have some questions.
Go ahead.
When you got to the house,
Yeah.
what was Clemmer's reaction?
When I got to the house, I immediately said to somebody, book me a hotel.
Oh, no.
I am not sleeping in this house.
Man.
There's zero chance that's happening.
that's-
So I hung around, but I would sleep at night at the hotel. Yeah, I was not staying. And I told Dad, I was like, I'm leaving if you, like, I'm just going to go home. I am not staying in the house with fucking Clemmer.
You weren't bunking up with Mincy?
I was not bunking up with Mincy or Clemmer or whomever, but yeah. Francis was like, yeah, Kirk's a great hang. I was like, I am definitely not a great hang. Unless the guy was a great hang. I am not hang out with any of you guys.
You look like you didn't want to.
I'll go to the vote, and
Absolutely
I'm going
not.
back to my hotel and sitting there.
Were you the only one that had that privilege?
I don't think so, because it was like there was actually a room issue too, I think, after a while. So, yeah. What else?
But like when you were at, well, now my questions don't make sense because I was going to ask when you were at the house.
I was in the house a lot though during the day.
So do you only see the tribal council?
Yeah, I think they made a big mistake with that. You only see you don't see the challenges.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I always said the challenges don't mean that much, but it is a good idea of what's going on. So I was surprised they didn't show us that.
So you could be shocked. Like I'm just saying that. Let's say Moobs finds an idol.
Right.
If you were at the house, you wouldn't know she has.
I would
it.
definitely be shocked at that. Yes. Yeah. I look. There are rules. I didn't communicate with anybody left in the game once I left.
Yeah, good.
Like, that's not true. I sent "fuck you" text, but like other than that, like I was like, did not. It wasn't like last year. I just stayed completely out of it and let them do their thing. So, yeah. It was hard for me to watch. I had a hard time watching after I was out last night. I watched it, but it was tough. I was still pissed.
I thought
Obviously, I'm still pissed.
You know, like a Big Brother. I don't watch a show, but I know how
Yeah.
they have like the camera running 24/7. They should have had that in the elimination house, so you could have just tuned in at like 11 at night and just seen what was going
true.
on. Fucking.
I suspect as you're seeing now some of the more interesting characters leaving the game, you may see more and more of that house in episodes going forward. I'm going to guess because some of the big personalities are now hanging out there a lot. So, yeah, but I showed up there and they're like shooting hoops, and I was like, just fucking kidding me. But after a while I was doing it, I was like, I had nothing else to do. Let's go. Like, all right, what are we doing?
I just wanted to know if like Clemmer gave you any advice on like how.
No, he wanted to get very into the
Jesus.
minutia. And I was like, I'm not there right now. Like, I'm so mad. Like, I was like, I am not. Yeah, I went to the person booking. And I was like, just give me a room. I'm not participating. I can't do it. I can't do it. So, but I was there pretty much all day. But
just slept there really. But the house was nice. It was not far away from the office at all. Probably a mile. Just random little weird neighborhood, and then you pull in there and go up. You walk in. I think the first person I saw was Clemmer, and he wanted to go over the thing and go over his thing, and then he kept talking about the moves, how he could have done this and that. And I was like, in the way this game works, that felt like it was a year ago. I was like, oh yeah, that's right, you were in the game. Which some will think of me when they, show up later. So yeah, everyone thinks their game is the most important game.
House could get hostile now, especially depending on who's the next one eliminated.
For sure.
A Rico or a Dan in there.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see. Any other questions, Justin, or
No.
No? Steve, Cinema?
I don't really have any questions. I thought it was fucking, there's no justice in the world that Rico could give up that fucking necklace and then go and pull out another immunity.
I know, good.
Yeah, that was.
Well, did you hear him too? He was like, "Can I give this up?"
Man.
Yeah, he knew.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, he knew. He was not, he knew. I've seen all people like, oh, Rico there was miscommunication with Rico. Bullshit. These guys knew it. They knew. I'm not, like, they're stupid. They're not that stupid. Like, I'm not playing along with that.
Yeah.
I'm just tired of the act. Because
So
he
am
just
I.
sits there and he's like,
I hate him.
"Woe is me," and it's like, fuck you. You just did this to him.
Right.
Be a man and stand up and say, "Hey, Kirk, I just did this."
And he'll do the bits
Live with
about
it.
his contract this year and this and that. It's like, it's
You
just
get
tiring.
the whole Terry act, and it's just
very tiring.
Yeah.
Very tiring. Very
See,
tiring.
you see, they spelt your name wrong.
Who did?
Just whenever your name would come up, it was Kirk Minhane.
Really?
Yeah.
On the show?
Yes, Kirk
Oh, really?
Minihane.
That makes sense.
There was
No
one,
surprise.
There was just one thing I wanted to mention that you cracked me up at one point. It was the second challenge of the pink wedding. It was the memory one.
Oh, it's fun.
So you knew that you were like on the ropes after the
Yeah.
first vote,
Yeah.
and then every single person that went out after you was just like, "Oh, good." Dave went out right after you, like, "Dave, good job. You went longer than I did."
Yeah.
Biz goes, "Hey, Biz," you were like, "Hey, Biz, it's a tough challenge."
Yeah,
you know?
I was fighting. At that point, you're just fighting. But I mean, I knew I was absolutely dead.
yeah. Between that one and the keys and the coins, I mean, those
Yeah.
are the two right there. They're just like not in your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Actually,
tough.
that's bullshit too. If you want to do like a challenge that's completely luck based, you got to do that wicked early on. When you have like 3 tribes, you want to fuck around, but to do that with
Which one?
like the rolling of the dice.
the
the
whole
Well, I was
race.
gone then, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it was the one right after
crazy
you.
to do
Yeah.
in that big of a moment.
I wonder if they were
man.
just doing it because it was going to be fast or something. They tried to get through it. Yeah,
Was
I
that
don't
like
know.
an ode to Mutt right there? With the
Yeah,
glasses?
probably.
Were you more loyal to Rhea or Kirk?
Rhea.
Were you more
That's the wrong cut.
Oh, it's okay.
If I get eliminated when I was like in a good spot just because I couldn't roll a fucking dice the
Tough.
right number, I'd be
Yeah.
pissed, man.
That's tough. That's what I remember they had talked about originally last year, doing the thing where you show up and they just eliminate somebody right away for no reason. I was like, oh, fuck that. Like, I hate shit like that. Like, but, it's a brutal game. The pink wedding I thought was great.
Yeah,
So,
I
I
did
mean,
too.
I was happy to be part of it, but like, it definitely ruined relationships forever. And it's not just, I'm the only one who says it. That's the difference. Is Dan is hated. So we'll see whether other people step up or they don't. And
when
it's tough.
When was that
It's
filmed?
tough.
August?
September, I think,
September.
right?
Yes.
Football right around the beginning
Well,
of
yeah,
football.
of course we got to make sure people stream
Yeah.
and people watch football. Yeah, the world will end if somebody doesn't watch week 4 of the NFL.
But it's just crazy. Like 4 months later, and you're seeing it again, and the rage that's coming out.
It's way more than last year.
Yeah.
Way more. Next week is going to be tough in Chicago, I think, for people. I know people are trying to plug all the dams they can, but I don't think that's going to be successful. I don't think. I could be wrong. I don't know. But I'm going to go in there. I'm going to be the biggest asshole I've ever been in my life.
No, you're not, right? Because
Yeah.
you've calmed down now.
That's
and
true.
You're not
That's true.
a hothead
That's
or
true.
anything.
So, hey, what can you do? Tough game. Of the people left, like, I guess I'd say I would want Biz to win. I guess of the people left.
Hard to
I
go
don't
anywhere
know.
else.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Biz, Megan making money, Rico,
Yeah.
Boobs, Big Cat, Keegs, Rhea, and Dave.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
you know the result, but for the rest of us, wouldn't you think a girl would win at this point? Because Rico's not going to win. Dan's not going to win.
Well, you never know. I don't
Dave,
know that.
I mean, maybe Biz, but
I will say I think I've heard
it's
a
more
lot.
leaning
I'm
towards
not
a
saying
girl
I'm not saying who wins or doesn't win. I do think among the people voting, the people who play the game, the people I talk to, they don't care how much money somebody has.
Yes.
It's always been to me who plays the game the best. I don't care if you have $10 billion or 10 cents. This is what I said last year about Jerry, who I love. This is not a charity event. This is who played the game the best. That's how I look at it.
Yeah,
That's
but
how I've always looked at
Aren't
it.
you guys noticing that you guys are the jury now, though?
Yeah.
So that you have an influence going in there to be like, hey, Rico's an asshole. Don't vote for him.
sure.
Dan's an asshole.
For sure. Of course, that's
where
gonna
maybe
happen.
if you see Rhea as opposed to like Dan and Rico, I mean, obviously you might be pushing more for Rhea because
Could be.
she didn't hurt you as much as
All
the other
possible.
two.
Well, she
Yeah.
voted me out.
But
But
not
all,
to the extent of them.
Yeah. No, I didn't know her before. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all, and anything's possible. Anything's possible. Hey, you know, it's going to be, it ends a week from tomorrow. Is that right?
Thursday, yep.
Next Thursday. So,
Live reaction show right afterwards.
oh, is that right?
Yep.
Wow.
Nice.
There you go. There you go. All right. What else? Leash.